A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. We start with verse 14 of Surah Al-Ankabut. It says, "We sent Nuh to his people, and he lived among them 1,000 years less 50. Then, because of their wrongdoings, the flood overtook them." Now, from this verse onwards, some historical events have been described, and in order to understand the relevance of these stories, one should keep in mind the initial verse of this surah, which becomes a context to these stories. In those initial verses, the believers were told that in order to prove your iman, you have to undergo tough trials and endure them with sabr. And on the other hand, the disbelievers were warned that you think that you will get away with what you are doing, your evil ways, you're torturing the Muslims, certainly not. And Allah's grip is finally going to seize you one day. Now, this story of Nuh alayhi salam is the first in this reference. The verse says that he lived among them 1,000 years less 50. This does not mean that he had a life of 950 years, but it means that after his appointment to prophethood, till the coming of the flood, he went on making efforts for 950 years. 950 years, right? This was his struggle time. And he did this for the reformation of his wicked people, and he did not lose heart even though he suffered persecutions for such a long time. The same was the situation in Makkah. The believers of Makkah are being told that you have been suffering persecutions and experiencing stubbornness of your evil opponents, hardly for 6 years or so. Just imagine the patience and firmness of this man, Nuh alayhi salam, who bravely faced all these hardships continuously for such a long time, 9.5 centuries. Now, the people of Nuh alayhi salam did not give up their evil ways till the flood came and swept them away. Had they given up their ways before the flood, surely Allah would not have sent this torment to them. Verse 15, "But we delivered him and all who were in the ark, and we made that ark a sign for the people of the world." Now, this means that people who had believed in Nuh alayhi salam and those permitted by Allah to board on the ark. Now, this has been described in Surah Hud, verse 40. There it says, "Thus until when our command came to pass, and at the Noor began to boil up, we said, O Nuh, take into the ark a pair from every species and embark your own people, save those who have already been specifically marked, and also those who have believed, and those who had believed with Nuh were only a few." Now, the end of the verse says that we made this ark a sign for the people of the world. By this, it is meant that the ark itself remained on the top of the mountain for centuries and continued to remind the later generations that a flood of such a magnitude had once come in that land, because of which the ark had risen up to rest on the mountain. In his commentary of this, Ibn Jarir says, on the authority of Qatada, that during the period of the Blessed Companions, when the Muslims went to the land of Al-Jazira, they saw the ark on the Mount Judi. In this modern times also, news appear from time to time in the papers that expeditions are being sent to search out the boat, because something resembling a boat has been sighted many times from aeroplanes during flights over the Mount of Ararat. Verse 16. Likewise, Ibrahim, when he said to his people, "Worship Allah and fear Him. This is better for you if you understand." Now, fear here means fear disobeying Allah and fear associating partners with Him. Verse 17, you worship idols besides Allah and fabricate falsehood. In fact, those whom you worship besides Allah have no power to give you your sustenance. Therefore, seek your sustenance from Allah and worship Him. Give thanks to Him, for to Him you shall be returned. Now comes the mention of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who had to go through many hard trials in various phases of his life. But these trials did not shake him in the least. In this word, the word Othan is used, the plural of Vasan, and it means every such thing which is worshipped besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what material it is made of. This word is also used for what we call astane in Urdu. Now, Sanam is different from Osan because it includes the idols made of gold, silver, copper and stone. The verse says that worshipping the idols is a lie because the very base, the very root is a lie, the very cause is a lie. And then your belief that they are gods or they are goddesses, nauzubillah, or they are offsprings of God or His favorites, and they can intercede with Him. And some of them are bestowers of health, some givers of children, some givers of rizq and businesses. These are beliefs which you have invented with your own whims and conjectures. So many years have passed, but there are still so many people who believe that Data and Mushkil Kusha and Ghaus-e Azam can give us rizq and help us in difficulties. Then Ibrahim alayhi salam teaches them that seek Allah for your rizq because He is the only being who can give you rizq. All other deities are powerless, they are lifeless. So accordingly, your worship, your gratitude should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you see that the offsprings people make in the form of, the offerings people make in the form of food, money or anything else in front of stone idols or these mazars is in a way you are offering your thanks to them that they granted you something and you are giving them thanks these things. And why should you worship and be grateful to them, whereas you should be grateful to Allah because your final return is only to Him and not to them. Verse 18, if you deny the message that nations have denied before you, the only duty a Rasul has is to deliver Allah's message clearly. Now the verse means that if you deny Allah's message, then it makes no difference to Allah. You can see for yourself that many nations before you had this sort of an attitude, but it mattered the least to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, it was their own selves which they led to destruction. As we are told in a hadith, the gist of which is that if all men, all jinns would start obeying Allah, it would not increase His kingdom one jot. And if all men and all jinns would start disobeying Him, they would not diminish His kingdom one jot. And neither does it make a difference to His prophet, because the prophet is held accountable only for conveying and not for your believing or disbelieving. Now, whenever we think about Ibrahim alayhi salam's personality, the first thing that comes to our mind is logic and reasoning. And we find that in these few sentences, Ibrahim alayhi salam has put together all the rational arguments against idol worship, against shirk. Number one, that it must have haqq. It means that a deity should have some personal qualities and excellence, but these idols have none. Number two, that the God must be the creator, whereas you yourself create your ma'bood with your own hands. And number three, that the God should be responsible for man's sustenance and other means of life. And your ma'boods do not give you rizq, but they are dependent on you for their own even. Number 4, that the Ma'bud should have the end result and destiny in his hand. Man should be afraid that annoying him means bringing about his own ruin, and your gods do not have the power to make or mar someone's destiny. So this criteria of a Ma'bud explained in these 4 points is it is in a nutshell, the whole thing put in a nutshell. The false gods do not come up to any point of this criteria. It is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who encompasses this criteria completely. Verse 19, do they not see how Allah originates creation, then repeats its process? Surely it is easy for Allah. Now Ibrahim alayhi salam says that we have talked about your God. Now let's talk about my Rabb, and I will explain to you what he is. That he is the one who creates countless new things. He brings them into existence from non-existence. And that's not all. But similar new members continue coming into existence to take the place of the dying member of every species. Now this story of Ibrahim alayhi salam is especially important for the non-believers of Makkah because they were basically involved in 2 kinds of deviations. One is shirk because they indulged in idol worship, and the second was the denial of the hereafter. Now shirk was refuted in the initial argument of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and here their second misconception, that is denial of the akhirah, that is being addressed, that is being answered. Now these non-believers acknowledged that everything was created by Allah's power. So they are in a way being asked, how do you suppose that the God who according to your own belief brings things into existence from non-existence and does not create anything just once, but goes on bringing into existence similar things in place of the dying things, repeatedly in front of you, in front of your eyes, the same Rabb, will he not be able to raise you back to life after your death? How can you assume that? The end of the verse says that this is something, meaning raising people back to life, is something very easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do. Because you see, even as human beings, creating something the first time for human beings is difficult. And they assume that it might turn out to be as they hope, and it might not turn out to be as they hope. Even as, something as mundane as cooking a dish, when you're making it for the first time, you assume that maybe it will turn out to be good and maybe not. But once you start making it repeatedly, producing it repeatedly, you become an expert in it. So this is we cannot compare anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Laysa kamislihi shay'un. This is just for the sake of comprehension. So this question was asked, that why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not be able to raise you back again when he is repeatedly raising men in front of your eyes? Verse 20, say to them, travel through the earth and see how Allah originates the creation, then creates the later creation. Surely Allah has power over everything. Now Ibrahim alayhi salam tells his people that you travel in the earth and study this exclusive attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the vision of Islam. It encourages study and research of everything, and then connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this information. But the problem with most of the scientists is that they do the first half, that is research of everything. how everything came into existence, but they forget the second half, that is, reaching Allah through it. Therefore, their research is incomplete. Like you put all the ingredients of a dish in a pan and leave it uncooked. You cut a dress, but you don't stitch it. Start building a house and put no roof. Like you start a car, but don't know how to apply the brakes. We have taken into account Ikra, but forgotten Bismi Rabbikal Lazi Khalaq. That when you are yourselves witnessing things being created in the first instance by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's competence and skill, you should understand it well that recreation shall also take place by the same competence and skill. Such a thing is not beyond Allah's power. Verse 21, He punishes whom He wills and shows mercy to whom He pleases, and to Him you shall all be returned back. Verse 22, Neither can you frustrate Him in the earth nor in the heaven, nor have you any protector or helper besides Allah. Now the verse means that you cannot stop Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from doing what He wants to. For example, can we stop the day and not let the night enter, or to stop the day after the night? All this is according to His will, and the whole world together cannot stop Him. The end of the verse says that there is no protector or helper besides Allah, that people do not rely or depend on other deities besides Allah, because they are not in a position to help you nor take you out from Allah's grip. Verse 23, As for those who disbelieve Allah's revelations and deny that they will ever meet Him, they are the ones who shall despair of my mercy, and they are the ones who shall have a painful punishment. Allah says that people who do not believe in my verses and in the hereafter have no share in my mercy. That is pretty simple. While they didn't believe in the promises of Allah, they don't deserve His rewards as well. Verse 24, The people of Ibrahim had no answer except to say, kill him or burn him. But Allah saved him from the fire when they tried to burn him. Surely in this incident there are signs for those who believe. Now these people had no answer to Ibrahim a.s.'s rational arguments. The only answer they gave was, cut off the tongue that talks the truth, and let not the person live who points out to errors. These people initially differed about the method of killing, but later on they unanimously decided that he should be burnt. Here it has only been mentioned that Allah saved him, but in Surah Al-Anbiya we are told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, O fire, be cool and become safe for Ibrahim. This is verse 69. And this is not something strange, because the properties of all things are dependent on Allah's commands. And whenever He pleases, He can change the property of anything He likes. So the master of this fire changed its properties. And the end of the verse says that surely in this incident there are signs for those who believe. Now what signs are these? That Ibrahim a.s. did not follow his family, his community, his country, but followed what? The true knowledge. That shirk is falsehood and the reality is tawheed. He tried to convince his people despite their stubbornness. He was prepared to face the most terrible of punishments, but not prepared to give up truth. The point to learn is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not spare His beloved Khalil even from trials and tests. And when he came out successful from this trial, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to his aid, and this miracle of changing the properties of fire took place. Verse 25. After coming out from the fire safely, Ibrahim addressed them, "Today you have made idols instead of Allah, a means of affection among yourselves in this worldly life. But on the day of resurrection you shall disown and curse one another. Fire shall be your abode, and you shall have no helper." Now Ibrahim a.s. said these words after his deliverance from the fire. He means to say that the foundation of your unity is shirk, and this unity will only last in dunya, but in the hereafter it will change into enmity. It will change into hatred, because you see, even now people unite on the basis of different ideologies which may be refuting Tawheed. And another form is that because of your friendship, because of your family, social, cultural, economic, or political relationships, you deny Allah's command. That no, I have to do this wrong because this has always been done in my family. Or I have to side with this wrong decision because I cannot go against my tribe, my baradari. Allah says that all such relationships will turn into hatred. The son and the father, the husband and the wife, the saint and the disciple will curse each other, and each will blame his deviation on the other. And the only relationship that will endure right till the akhirah is that which is based on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you are friends with someone because you want them to be closer to Allah, or you can learn from them so that you can be closer to Allah, or maybe you can teach them something, or that you love someone for the sake of Allah. Verse 26, witnessing this whole incident. Verse 26, witnessing this whole incident, Lut alayhi salam affirmed his belief with Ibrahim finally. Ibrahim said, I will migrate towards my Rabb. He is the one who is mighty, the wise. Now the context shows that when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam came out of the fire and spoke the preceding sentences, only Lut alayhi salam from the entire crowd came forward to proclaim his belief. It is quite possible that many other people present on the occasion believed too, but they did not have the guts to speak up publicly because they had just witnessed the aggression of people. Lut alayhi salam was a nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Hazrat Sarah, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was also his cousin, also accepted Islam. And then Ibrahim alayhi salam said that now I am going to leave my homeland towards my Lord, meaning that I will go to a place where there is no obstacle in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salam was the first prophet who migrated from his hometown for the sake of religion. Before this, the prophets left their towns only when the punishment or the azab came. And at the end of the verse, Ibrahim alayhi salam says that my Rabb is Al-Aziz, the all-powerful, and Al-Hakim, the all-wise, indicating that he has the power to help, he has the power to protect me, and at the same time, he will decide for me that which is the best course for me to take. Now, these words of Ibrahim alayhi salam are so beautiful. Inni muhajirun ila Rabbi. His family, his nation has thrown him out, but it matters the least to him. And he says, I have Allah. We can't endure leaving one friend during the course of obeying Allah. Hijrah is not just a physical hijrah. It also means to move from a state of disobeying Allah to a state of obeying Allah. For example, I am going to stop backbiting. I'm going to stop lying. I'm going to stop cheating people. Inni muhajirun ila rabbi.